Let's go ahead and solve homework exercise number 15 from section 10.2. It states that we need to use the Pythagorean theorem to find the missing length of the right triangle. Okay, now notice here obviously the missing length is side A. As it go by looks, here is the right angle. So the right opposite the right angle is the side 24, so that is the hypotenuse. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have, remember it's c squared equals a squared plus b squared. And c is the hypotenuse opposite the right angle. That's the one by itself. So 24 squared is equal to a squared plus the other leg squared, 20 squared. The two legs form the right triangle. That's how you know which two are together. Okay, so when we go ahead and do this, we can do 24 squared on our calculator. We'll do that. And we get 576. Okay, so now we have, again, C was 24 squared equals a squared plus 20 squared. 24 squared is 576 equals a squared. 20 times 20, I can do that in my head. You use your calculator if you need to, 400. 20 times 20 is 400. Now we're going to subtract 400 from both sides. Okay, and we're going to get 176 is equal to a squared. So if we take the square root of both sides, then we're going to get a is equal to the square root of 176. Okay, so again, you solve for a by subtracting 400 from both sides, and then you take the square root of both sides so that the square root of a squared is a. Now notice on your calculator, the square root is the x squared in blue, so you hit the second key and then the x squared key, you'll get the square root, and then we'll put in 176 to get our answer, and we're going to round to 1 decimal place. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do that. Second square root 176, and we get 13.26, so to the nearest 1 decimal place, 13.26. There's a 6 in the second decimal place, so we're going to add 1, so it's going to round off to 13.3. Okay, and all the units are the same, so it's in centimeters. So it's going to be 13.3 centimeters. It's a linear measure. All right, very good. Problem number 16. A hot air balloon is supported by 2 wires that are each 50 feet long, attached to the ground 30 feet from the base of the balloon. How far from the ground are wires attached to the balloon? Okay, so now here's our balloon. The wires are 50 feet attached to the ground, so I'll do 1 wire 50 feet. And it's 30 feet from the base of the balloon. So here's the base would be 30. Along the ground is going to be 30. And we want to know how far from the ground, a perpendicular distance right here. This would be our A, or our height. Okay, so this is the one we're missing. How far from the ground? That means a perpendicular distance straight up and down. Notice that makes a right angle with the 30 along the base of the balloon. That's along the ground. And so the 50 is opposite the right angle. That's the hypotenuse. So our setup is c squared equals a squared plus b squared. 50 squared is the hypotenuse is equal to a squared plus 30 squared. 50 times 50 squared is 2,500. Equals a squared plus 30 times 30. 30 squared is 900. So we're going to subtract 900 from both sides. 2,500 minus 900 is going to be 1,600. 900s cancel, equal a squared. So then we're going to go ahead and take the square root of both sides. square root of 1600, square root of a squared is just a, square root of 1600, if you do it on your calculator, it's going to get 40. Again, second, and then x squared, and then you put it in, okay? So again, you draw a picture. The wire's 50 feet long, that's the wire, and it's 30 feet from the base of the balloon. The height we need to find is right here. So we're finding one of the legs, either A or B. So it's set up, the wire is the hypotenuse. So 50 squared is equal to A squared plus 30 squared. And then we solve, okay? Just to verify, you can do it on your calculator. The square root of 1600, second x squared, and then the 1600 is what we got for this A, which is, again, there it is, 40 feet. Okay. Now we're going to go back to similar exercise, similar triangles. Okay, a person who is 5 feet tall is standing 154 feet from the base, okay, of a tree, and a tree casts a shadow of 168. The person's shadow is 14 feet. So what we'll do here is we have the person is 5 feet, right, tall, and his shadow is 14 feet. Now we want to find the height of the tree is right here is the bigger triangle, right? So here's our tree. This will be x, and the shadow of the tree is 168. Now notice 154 plus 14, there's another 14 there, so 154 plus 14 is indeed 168, okay? So then this side is the shadow is 168. So we'll set up a proportion, height to height and shadow to shadow. So 5 is to x as 14 is to 168. Cross multiply. 14x equals 5 times 168. And then we would divide by 14. So that gives us 1. X is going to be equal to 5 times 68, 5 times 168 divided by 14, okay? So we set up a proportion, corresponding sides, height to height and shadow to shadow, cross multiply, and we solve for x. So we would get 5 times 168 divided by 14. So 5 times 168 divided by 14, and we get the height of the tree is 60, and everything is in feet. So obviously this answers in feet. Very good. Okay, let's look at problem number 18. A slow pitch softball diamond is actually a square 60 feet by 60 feet. How far is it from home to second? So here we have a picture from home to first to second, and then we want this side here, right? Now notice, here's our right angle. There's 60 feet from first to second, and it's 60 feet on each side, so it's also 60 from first, or from home to first is 60, and from first to second is 60. We want to find how far it is from home to second, which is x. Notice, here's our right angle, so x is opposite the right angle, so that is the hypotenuse. Okay, x is the hypotenuse, 60 and 60 are the legs, so it's set up x squared is equal to 60 squared plus 60 squared. Okay, so we're going to take 60 squared is actually 3,600. Another 60 squared, 3,600 is x squared. So x squared is equal to, add these up, would be 7,200. Take the square root of both sides and get x is equal to the square root of 7,200. Again, we use the Pythagorean theorem, right? C squared equals A squared plus B squared, because we have a right triangle, a right angle at first base with the two sides from home to first and first to second. So we're finding the hypotenuse x of the right triangle. So we set it up, x squared equals leg a squared plus b squared, both 60. Did the algebra, and we got to take the square root of 7,200 and round to the nearest tenth. So we'll go ahead and do that. So second x squared to get the radical, 7,200, and we get 84.85, which would be rounded off to 84.9. You would round up because there's a the second number is 5 or greater, and everything is given in feet. Okay? Very good. We're going to stop this session at problem 18. If you have any questions, send me an email at tsquares@hodges.edu or call me at 239-938-7805. Thank you.